It was a typical Sunday in Detroit, Michigan, bright and muggy. My sister was at work, and I was babysitting my niece for the day. We didn't have air conditioning, so I decided to treat her to something cold and sweet. As I walked into the kitchen to get her a popsicle from the freezer, I noticed her sitting at the dining room table looking through a torn up old shoebox of Polaroids. I walked to the dining room table, stood next to her chair silently, and waited for her to acknowledge me holding out her favorite color. I wanted to see the smile and surprise on her face when she turned around. The joke was on me, though. My niece turns around and looks at me with the biggest almond eyes and asks me, "Auntie, who is this white boy?" I swallowed and choked on my spit. For a moment, everything froze. I knew in that moment God had entrusted me with the delicate task of peeling back a veil of innocence. I tilted my head toward the ceiling and said, "Lord, is it really that time?" I mumbled under my breath. When I looked back down at my niece's almond eyes, my niece's almond eyes met mine in expectation, almost begging me for the story. I let out a long sigh and looked up at the ceiling one more time and sat down at the table next to her. "Well, what do you want to know, baby?" She looked at me confusedly and repeated the question, "Who is this white boy?" "He was a dear friend of mine." "Was?" she probed. "Is he not your friend anymore? Why have I never met him? Does mommy know? Why does he never come over?" The questions started firing off like darts. Okay, I interceded. I picked the picture up off the table and stared into it. We were friends for a time, best friends. We met in high school during a time when it wasn't really okay for people like me and people like him to be friends. Your mommy did know him, and to tell you the truth, she didn't really approve. It wasn't that she didn't like him. She didn't like the way his family treated me. "Auntie, I don't understand. What do you mean it wasn't okay for you to be friends? Why wasn't it okay? How did they treat you? They were mean to you, Auntie?" "Well, baby, there was a time before you were born when a lot of people thought that the color of your skin meant something that it didn't really mean. If you had brown skin, you were treated really badly. And if you had pale white skin, you were treated better than most. It was a strange time to be alive. Me and my friend here, we were normal people among a world of abnormal thinking. His family didn't think the notion of two people loving each other based on something other than skin color was normal, though. So they gave me and my friend a hard time. We went through a lot of hate in the name of love. If I called his house, his family would hang up on me. If he came over my house, his parents would wait up all night until he came home in the living room to scold him. My parents didn't approve of our relationship either. Your granddaddy would yell at me and tell me to break up with him. He would say, "Don't you get it? They think they're better than you." I knew that's what they thought, but that wasn't what my friend thought. It went from bad to worse. His parents told him he had a choice to make, either break up with me or move out. But he chose love. He chose me. After a while, I got tired of your granddaddy yelling at me, and I moved in with your mom. She was always my protector. She would see me when I cried or when things would go bad. She knew he wasn't a bad person, but because of all the pain I went through, she started to treat my friend badly too. She would tell me he wasn't welcomed over the house and that she didn't approve of our relationship. Our love was strong, but after a while, it began to take more away from us than it gave to us. We thought it could, but our love just couldn't seem to hold up under the pressure of all the hate. And after a while, we just started to drift apart. After I answered all her questions, I looked up from the photo, and she seemed to be on pause, pondering as if this last thought may cross the line. Then she spoke. "But Auntie, you still didn't tell me, who is this white boy?" I laughed and said, "That's a story for another time."